Welcome to the Tool Review channel. Today we're taking a look at the Klein Tools D220-7 heavy duty diagonal cutting pliers. Now these are a 7-inch diagonal cutting pliers from Klein Tools, but they are not high leverage. So as you can see right here, the rivet is not really close to the cutting edge of the plier. So it is definitely going to be a little bit more challenging when you're cutting through some larger or thicker material. But to start off the video here, you can see you have the nice Klein logo and name laser etched onto the surface right there. And then you have your model number right there, which is kind of in a weird place. You can't really see it. It's kind of in between the two rivets. So it is a little bit hard to see. And then you got Made in the USA laser etched onto the surface. And you have some warning graphics also laser etched onto the surface of the tool as well. And then you have, I believe, the manufacturing date, and then I believe this is the type of steel that Klein uses for their tools. And as you can see, it has a nice polished ground finish on there, which is nice. And then you come over to this side, and it's fairly simple. The tool is a little, you can see the oil right there starting to rust a little bit, but that's pretty much normal on every pair of pliers. And then as you can see, you have the dipped handles, which is pretty standard for a pair of diagonal cutting pliers. I'm not sure if Klein makes these with the comfort grip handles. I believe they only do it with the dipped handles. I could be mistaken though. And as you can see, they do open and close nicely, but as you can see when you hold them up like that, they don't just fly open, which kind of sucks. But most Klein tools I've found need to be broken in where they can just, open up without any ease. But enough rambling about that. Let's get to testing these diagonal cutters out. So we're going to first start off with some 14 gauge stranded wire, and we'll see how well we can cut through that. And as you can see, we can cut through this 14 gauge wire no problem whatsoever. So we'll go ahead and put that off to the side, and we will bring in some 12 gauge stranded wire right here as well, and we'll go ahead and cut through that. And as you can see, we can cut through that no problem. And you can definitely hear that snapping action. You can't really feel it, but you can definitely hear that snapping action. So that was with the 12 gauge stranded wire. So now we'll bring in some 10 gauge stranded wire right here, and we'll see how well we can cut through that. And you definitely have to use quite a bit of force to get through these 10 gauge stranded wire, but you can see obviously you are able to get through that no problem. So we'll go ahead and put that off to the side, and we'll bring in some 18.5 wire right here. So this is 5 18 gauge wires in one, and there's also some insulation in there, which I do find some pliers have a problem cutting through. So we'll see if these can cut through that little piece of insulation on the inside. And as you can see right there, it cuts through this wire no problem. You can definitely hear that snapping action right there, but it has no problem getting through that 18.5 wire right there. So now we'll bring in some 14.2 with ground Romex wire and see how well we can cut through that. So we'll go ahead and pop those open, and definitely gonna have to use quite a bit of force to get through that. But as you can see, these cut through that no problem. You just got to use quite a bit of force to get through that. So we'll go ahead and put that off to the side. And now we'll bring in some 12.2 with ground, 12.2 Romex wire. And I'm sure we're gonna have one heck of a time getting through this. But we'll see if we can do it one-handed. And as you can see, it's quite difficult to do one-handed, so we're probably gonna have to use two hands right here. But as you can see, it definitely cuts through that 12.2. I can cut through it, but you definitely have to use quite a bit of force to get through that. So overall, these are definitely a nice pair of diagonal cutting pliers from Klein Tools. If you're in the need to cut through some very large wires, so if you need to cut through multiple wires at a time, or if you need to cut through 10 or 14 or 12 solid, these probably aren't going to be something you're going to want to use. Definitely want to use this more on some smaller gauge wires, I would say, because as you can see, or as you saw, it's quite a bit challenging to cut through multiple wires at the same time with these. Them not being the high leverage design, you definitely gonna have to use a lot more force to cut through that. And the handles being small, it's a little bit harder to get that grip to cut through them with just one hand. But these are definitely a nice pair of diagonal cutting pliers from Klein. They are made in the USA, which, if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I like tools that are made in the USA. And these are something different. They're not high leverage, but they do work really well. That's kind of the reason why I picked them up, because they weren't high leverage. And, you know, I thought I'd try them out and see how they would compare to high leverage. Obviously, as you saw, high leverage pliers are going to be a little bit better and a little bit more easier to cut through material than these. But if you don't need to cut through, you know, large, thick material, maybe just cutting through some smaller gauge wire, these probably will be able to do the job for you. I will leave a link to Klein's website down in the description below if you'd like to learn more about this tool, or if you would like to pick this tool up yourself. They have a little tab at the bottom that'll show you online retailers and in-store retailers that sell this tool. But that's all I have for this video, so thank you for watching, and if you are new to the channel, please feel free to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And if you did enjoy the video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. That's all I have for this video. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video to be uploaded.